Hey everybody, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly with a first review of the new Motorola DROID 4. I don't know if we're going to have two reviews of it, but I wanted to get a review in fast, and I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible, although I intend to cover a lot of ground. First of all, this is the Motorola DROID 4. This is the first of the numbered DROID series with slide-out keyboards. It's the first of those series to have 4G capability. So it's the DROID 4, and it's got 4G, and there's something also 4 about it now too. Oh, it's got a 4-inch display, of course. It's got a 4-inch LCD display. Very nice, and the display is 540 by 960 pixels. So it is the QHD resolution. Now the previous version of the DROID was the DROID 3, and it has some different design cues. The DROID 3 looks pretty much like the other phones in the DROID series of phones, the original DROID and the DROID 2. It's got this little shelf-like thing here at the end. And the DROID 3, of course, was the first of the DROID phones to have a 5-row keyboard. And so now they both have 5-row keyboards. I like the look of the keyboard a little bit better over here on the new DROID 4. It's probably about the same shape and size, but I like the fact that the keys are all the same shade of gray. Nice contrast, easy to see. The letters, the white letters, are a little bigger over here, so I kind of like that. Over here on the DROID 4, it looks like you can get to a voice command key right here, which is pretty handy to have as well. So it looks like otherwise the two keyboards are more or less the same. Looks like they're the same size. These keys do light up when you open the keyboard. So there you go with the DROID 3 versus the DROID 4. Otherwise, the overall footprint of the DROID 3 is just about the same. The DROID 4 might be a little bit wider. Looking at the thickness, the two phones are just about the same. And of course they both have 8 megapixel still image cameras. They both can do 1080p HD video, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Okay, so this is the new DROID 4. This is a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. It has 1 gigabyte of RAM. It comes out of the box running Android 2.3.5. I believe this phone, and the operative word is here, I believe. I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, but I believe this phone will be updated to Android 4. I don't know when, but it's my understanding that it will be. The DROID 4 has an integrated social media interface, including this Facebook widget. Now, when we got this phone, it was all set up with someone else's Facebook, someone at Motorola. And I got to say that that person's Facebook friends are a lot better looking than my Facebook friends. So maybe I ought to get to know whoever that guy was. I honestly don't know who it was. Now, it comes with 8 gigabytes of internal storage, and it has an internal micro SD slot for memory expansion. I do not think that the phone, the way we got it, has a card in that slot, so there's no SD card in the expansion slot. I do not know if the final shipping version will come with something in the slot or not, but the fact is there is an expansion slot. You can expand your memory if you need to, and it does come with 8 gig of internal storage out of the box. And I already talked a little bit about the camera. It's an 8 megapixel still image camera, and it can do 1080p video, and it does have an LED flash. There is a 1.3 megapixel front camera. Now, I did go ahead and shoot some stills and some video with this, so let's go ahead and take a look at the camera right now. I set up a little still life on my desk. Here is the look at the still life when I went in for a close-up. You can see what that looks like now. It's a little bit washed out. The contrast is not as good as I would like. However, the color balance is good. The focus is reasonably good. There's not a lot of light for this shot, so it seemed to do a pretty good job of making the best out of a bad situation with the light there. Again, I wish that it had a little bit more contrast. The natural, real-life view of those things, definitely the red, green, and blue pinheads are richer looking. Then I do a flesh tone test. Now this is the first time I've done a flesh tone test with these two models. Now I used to use Jen and Luis, and I probably will use Jen in the future, but Luis is no longer at Wirefly, so I can't use him anymore. So these two models are Paula on the left and Nashonda on the right, and two of the lovely ladies that work here at Wirefly. And if you have customer service questions, you just might end up speaking with them someday. In any event, I thought it did a pretty good job with the flesh tones on this. I think the flesh tones are very natural looking. And however, again, like the still image shot of my still life, I thought that the contrast was a little soft. There's also, oddly enough, a little too much noise in this shot. Now, there's plenty of light here, and I used the flash from the camera, which is why they have a little sparkle in their eyes. But again, I thought that the noise level was a little bit high, but still not too bad overall. I thought the focus was pretty good. Then I took the camera outside to do a video. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video that I shot with the Motorola DROID 4. This is a video test with the new Motorola DROID 4 for Verizon, and I have the phone set for 1080p video. That's a partly sunny, warm winter day, very pleasant actually outside. That's the Wirefly building right there, and it is okay to view the screen. Actually, the screen looks pretty good out here in the mixed clouds and sunshine. Looking at the screen, it looks like the dark things, such as the pine tree there on the right, is very, very dark. So the iris may be adjusting itself for the very bright sky. I'm going to tilt down a little bit. See the green winter grass. Our grass isn't usually green in the winters, but not bad this time. Now I'm holding the phone about a foot away from my mouth. There is a bit of wind, so I'm interested to hear how both the audio sounds and the video looks with this, the Motorola DROID 4, at 1080p resolution. That was pretty darn good. The video was a little too contrasty. Now, the still images weren't contrasty enough, but the video was really too contrasty. The audio was quite good. I thought the audio level was a little bit low, but the clarity was good. You could hear that there was some rumbling from the wind as the wind blew. It's a little bit gusty today, not too bad. But I wish that there was a way to adjust the contrast so it wasn't quite so contrasty. But overall, that was a good performance, not a great performance. I've also tested the talk quality on this phone. Talk quality is very good. I'd say it's a little bit better than average. And the person I spoke to sounded very natural. She said that I sounded good and clear. Maybe a little cell phony, but generally pretty good audio response with the phone on this phone. Now, it comes with a 1,785 milliamp hour battery. I've had the phone for about a day, and I found that the battery life seems to be good. And of course, this is Android 2.3.5. It has 5 pages that you can load your stuff to. On the side of the phone, there is both a micro USB port. Now, you use that for charging and for getting files into and out of your computer, but it also has a micro HDMI port, and you can play back video in 1080p through the micro HDMI port to your big screen TV. On top is the on-off button in the middle, and of course a standard 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and on the side here we've got a volume up-down rocker. Underneath the cover, of course, is the battery and the LTE SIM card. This is an LTE 4G phone for Verizon. It will not work with SIMs from T-Mobile and AT&T. Just won't work. Don't bother asking. Now, Motorola is saying that the DROID 4 is a business-ready phone with government-grade encryption. So you can use this if you have sensitive files. Motorola is saying that there is encryption to protect your files. Motorola also says that this will work with corporate email systems, so you should be able to sync the DROID 4 with your Outlook server at your work. We have that here. I haven't tried to do that. It also is a 4G phone with a mobile hotspot feature. I don't know if there's an extra cost to activate the mobile hotspot, but you can get super speeds with the mobile hotspot, and you can share those with up to 8 people. Speaking about that, I'm going to go ahead and see what the download speed is with this phone. There's a bunch of things, apps here, and there's a speed test app, I thought. There we go. Now, I'm down in the bowels of the building here, the Wirefly building, but I'm getting a strong 4G signal, so I'm going to go ahead and begin the test, and we'll see what we get here for 4G connection. Pretty fast ping. And you could see that this peaked up around 9 megabits, above 9 megabits, but it dropped down to roughly 7.9 megabits. So we ended up with 7.9 megabits for the download speed. The upload speed's even faster, about 11.6. So that's what my test is. Now, it'll change, of course, moment to moment and depending on your location, but that's the download speed test. Since we're on the subject of tests, I'm going to do a quick quadrant speed test here. Let's take a look at the system information. See, we're running Android 2.3.5. It's a 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor. Earlier it said 2 cores, now it says only 1. You can see that it's got the 1 gigabyte of processor RAM, and there you go with the display resolution. So let's go ahead and run the full benchmark test, and I will shut the camera off and come back when Quadrant's about ready to wrap up. This is the last of the graphics tests in Quadrant, and I do want to get the results. And we got 2429 for the results in Quadrant. Now, the Droid 4 is not optimized for Quadrant. Quadrant's not optimized to run on dual-core phones, as far as I know. So that is just a benchmark test everybody runs and likes to see what the results are. I also lately have been running the Antutu benchmark. This is a free download from the Android market, and I ran it twice. The score on the Antutu benchmark is 6,200. That's a pretty good score. That's what pretty much any other dual-core phone scores on the Antutu benchmark. If you've not run the Antutu benchmark on your phone, you might want to go ahead and download it. It's a free download, and see what you get and see how it compares to this. Well, that is a first review of the Motorola DROID 4. Now, this is a reasonably heavy and bulky phone because it has the slide-out keyboard. But with the 5 rows of keys, it is a pretty nice keyboard. If you prefer a keyboard phone, the DROID 4 might be the right phone for you, especially now that it has 4G capability. It has a beautiful display. This is an LCD display, not an AMOLED display, but it's very attractive, very clear, and with 4G speeds you can download things like YouTube videos and watch them very quickly without any buffering, and it really works quite well. So, so far I've enjoyed my time with the Motorola DROID 4. The battery life seems good, and I will be doing the Antutu battery test a little later, and hopefully we'll be able to report on that in a future video. Don't forget, if you want the DROID 4 or any other phone, that Wirefly is an excellent source for phones like that. We're the nation's #1 online retailer of cell phones, and we got there because we're really good at it, and because there's guys like me here to tell you about it. So everyone, I'm Bob Kovacs, as I said. Thanks for watching.